when I finished up that last video, I pulled over to the little area after I'd been riding around for a minute, just looking. Well, right after I finished filming, I looked down and saw some tracks from that big one I'm after in here. He'd walked right across that little area. And here's a satellite view to explain what I'm talking about for this area. It's the same satellite view I've been using because I'm in the same area I've been in. But what I wanted to show y'all was this area here. And this is the area I parked at. It's the area I've really been interested in. That's the north clear cut I hunted. Alright. When I saw the tracks from the deer I'm after going through here, I got excited about this place, and to show you why, I need to bring up the topographical map. Alright, here's the topo map of the same area, and that's my access road. And that little clearing's roughly right about here. Okay, I know that buck was using this area heavily. I know he was traveling this direction mainly based on the side of the trees his brubs were on. What couple tracks I saw in there, he consistently seems to be going that direction. This is the area I got excited about right here. All right, if he's crossing this, I don't think he's crossing this area to get here. I believe he's coming in right here. This right here, there's a really deep ravine here. And I've walked this area before. I never really saw many signs, but I actually used to go hiking in here. And just because it's such a scenic area, and I promise you, these topo lines do not do it justice for the elevation changes. And he could be hitting it, but I don't think he's in this area. I think he's coming this way just because of the topography. And now I'm really curious about this little knoll right here in this saddle. So what I'm doing, I'm parking up here and then going down and in to check this out. And that's what today's video is. I'm scouting this. All right, so now I'm just working in slowly, but we've had 2 days of rain and finally the sun's coming out and it's clearing, and these deer should be moving this evening. The problem is I'm cutting it close on this wind. And this wind's variable. It's changing a lot on me. So what I'm going to do is just ease in here. And hopefully I see him before he smells me, but I'm pretty sure this is where he's at. So this should be interesting, and if nothing else, I should figure out something that'll help me going forward, because I still don't really have a place to set up on this deer. I mean, I've got the one little clearing I've found, but the wind's almost never right for that spot. And he might not use the spot if the wind isn't right. So, I mean, it's a tough call, but I'm just going to try and work my way down in here slowly. They should be bedding and starting to move. I don't know, an hour or so, but hey, we'll see what happens. And I think from now on I'm going to start calling this deer the Ghost. Because every time I see a sign from him, it's old. And I was starting to wonder if he was even alive, but I'm pretty sure he is. I'm just always a few steps behind him. So let's see what happens today. I probably shouldn't even be in here. But, you know, sometimes you gotta take a chance to make something happen, and I'm running out of time here. I would really love to get this deer before December, because I don't think I'm gonna have much of a shot after that. But hey, we'll see. I think I'm onto something here. I made it to the little high spot on the point. I'll show it again on the topo. But there's a little opening right here on it. And that's a reasonably fresh scrape. What I'm going to do is get on the downwind side of this. I think I see the trail he's using. And try to figure out how he's coming here. I think he's coming from the direction of the old bedding area, but I'm not sure. So I'm just going to kind of circle this real quick. Find me a nice spot to set up downwind. And I hope this is the evening he starts moving. And hopefully I'll be set up here in about 20 or 30 minutes. I'd love to be set up sooner, but I'm really having to be quiet through here. This is looking pretty good though. Finally got set up. And the wind's changed direction 5 times since I got here. So what I'm doing is, there's a real deep gully right behind me, a draw. And hopefully most of my scent's going to go right down it, but still the wind's just all over the place right now. I guess the front blowing out of here, whatever. I mean, it's just all over the place. But where I found that scrape, it's actually above me. And I set up in a low spot, and I can watch the top of that hill pretty decent. And I'm hoping to keep my scent below him. And if he comes in to my left, I'm probably in trouble. Again, the wind's too variable. And and it was actually supposed to be out of the north, mainly out of the north, slightly northeast. But it's almost out of the west at times. Again, it's changing. And I don't mean by a few degrees. I mean, completely opposite directions. Plus thermals at work and everything else. So like I said, I'm hoping by being below him, I can keep my scent below him. It's just a matter of where he comes in from. And I figure I got a 50-50 chance right now of, him not smelling me. Now, this area might not be close enough to this bedding area for me to see him, before dark. Because he's not traveling far in daylight. If at all. I mean, there's just too much pressure in here. But I don't feel like this spot's been hit. This is just one of those obscure, overlooked spots that most people aren't going to think about. And that's something I'll get into in a little while too. But basically, I'm hunting this as if I was bow hunting and not rifle hunting. I'm not looking for the place with the greatest view. I'm looking for the place where I might get a shot. And that's all I can hope for right now. Now I could have went in further, closer to where I think he's bedding. But I just didn't feel like this was the time. I mean, the wind's just all over the place. I didn't want to be blowing him out, right now. I'm just kind of easing my way in here. But so far, this is looking pretty good. I'm happy with what I'm seeing. I will have to hang out here for a little while and see what happens. And this is also just another piece of the puzzle. And that's what those big deer are. They're a puzzle. I found an old scrape and all those rubs a couple of weeks ago. Went Thursday. Darn, it was cold that day. Didn't see anything on that end. I didn't scout it like I should have, but after riding around, I ended up back over here, and that's when I saw his tracks up on this end, so he might not even be hitting that north clear cut anymore. And this is, it's right above where I saw the rubs. So, I mean, we're just slowly putting this thing together. Slowly finding the pieces. And this spot here, basically it's a saddle. To the right, to the left, we got a little knoll, a little high spot. Drops off in all directions around it. He's obviously hitting the top of it, or a buck is hitting the top of it. Now I just got to figure out how he's getting to it. And like what I was saying before, I mean, this is one of those spots, when I figure it out, this is one of those spots that could be good year after year. I think the wind's going to be more predictable right here in the future. And this spot here would set up good for north wind. Northeast, not really a northeast wind so much as a north wind, but northwest wind would be excellent here. And then, north and northwest winds, those are common enough that, I could actually get to hunt it. And like I said, we're just going to see what happens. was pretty neat there. I think I caught that one pretty good on this spot. But I still hadn't seen what I want to see, and that's their daddy. It's always fun watching a couple deer play. And their daddy's close by. So I might still see something before this evening's over. But so far, for me, this is what makes a good hunting trip, a successful hunting trip. I seen what was going on at the top of the ridge. I felt sure that was the direction they were coming in toward that scrape, which I didn't think those two, I don't think, are bothering with the scrape. Maybe, but I saw one really good trail heading that direction at the top here. And that's why I set up here. And it was really nice to just see that, play out and come together like it did. But again, it's still possible for the ghost to come through here. But he better do it quick. That scrape I found was right about here. The little opening was right on top of the knoll. And I set up right about here. And that was the draw that was right behind me. The reason I set up here, when I walked in, I noticed there were signs in this area of deer, but I didn't see anything right here. And this is the bedding area of the ghost, and I was worried to start with about him coming through here. And the wind was northeast, so it's blowing that direction predominantly. But it kept swapping up and coming out of the southeast also. So we had a crosswind every so often, going that direction. Well, originally I was worried about him coming up through here, but I didn't see any signs right here of him. I seen signs in this area coming from the knoll, but no trails to speak of here, no signs whatsoever. Even though that would have been just seems like a natural route for him to take. But again, I didn't see anything, so I felt confident setting up here. And I saw a really worn trail right here heading straight to the scrape from this area. And that's why I set up here. It just, even with the wind changing direction on me, I felt like I was okay this way. I was a little worried about him maybe coming up through here, and I haven't scouted this, so I don't really know what's here. But, based on the information I had at the time, that just seemed like a good setup right there. And at least for those two little ones, it turned out to be. So anytime I get a north wind, northeast wind, northwest wind, I think this is going to be a really good setup right here. Whether or not it's close enough to where he's bedding at for me to see him in daylight, I have no idea yet. But again, I found a good spot to set up, with that wind. And one thing I wanted to mention, I'm being really careful easing in on this buck because I don't want to spook him. It wouldn't take much at all for him to just completely abandon this area. All right, if he gets pressure on him, he's not going to stay here. So I'm being really conservative, and you got to take chances sometimes to make it happen on them. But right now, this is the only good deer I'm on this year, and it's late enough in the season. I don't want to have to go trying to find another one if I blow him out. So that's why I'm taking this approach and just really basically chipping at the edges, trying to figure out how to get in here and figuring out the wind for this area. That with the wind changing like it was, is how common is that in here? And from what I'm seeing so far, it's pretty common. Okay, so I've got a spot here where I've got a chance, and that's really all I can ask for right now. Is just to put myself in a place where I got a chance. And that was great watching those two little ones play. Next week, I could very easily catch him coming through here. Right now we've got the rut kicking in, so maybe that changed his movements. Week or two, maybe he goes back to a different pattern he was on before the rut, and I do catch him through here. You never know, but I'm slowly getting in, working my way into this area and slowly figuring it out. Y'all, that was a really good hunt. And I've heard so many people say if you see it on public land, you might as well shoot it, even if it's a little one, because somebody else will. Well, that's proof not everybody does. And that's just a terrible reason to do something just because everybody else does it. Oh, well, I still didn't see the big one, but we're getting closer. Y'all have a good evening.